What movie fucked you straight in your feelings? Fox and the Hound. We'll always be friends forever. Won't we? Yeah. Forever. A Beautiful Mind. My grandpa was schizophrenic and I never understood it until I watched this movie. Edit. Thank you for not only my first award, but all of these awards. The Iron Giant. You stay. I go. The Land Before Time always got me when I was young. Fuck Sharptooth. Stand By Me. Stephen King's stories always hit home for me. Brings me back to when I was a kid and everything was an adventure with your best friends forever. Turns out, forever isn't really that long. The Neverending Story. They look like such strong hands. Don't they? Kids movie. My ass. My Girl. Meet the Robinsons. Gets me every time. I've always wanted to adopt, but we just don't have $30. To buy a kid. Those kids just need love. Man, I got that to give. Edit. Thanks for the awards. It's my first. Also, I just want to clear up a few things. I did look into fostering before adopting, but the hubby wasn't as on board with it as I was. Mainly because he didn't want to get attached to a kid and then have them ripped away. Which I get. It takes a strong person to be able to go through something like that. And I did look into adopting local older kids. I didn't want to adopt a baby. Everyone always goes for the babies. I wanted an older child. And I was told I needed to have close to $30. To adopt. I don't know why I was given that number, but that's what it was. I am currently pregnant with my second and I would still love to adopt. I am hoping once the kids are a little older, we can find a way to do this. I love children and would adopt everyone if I could. But I don't think I will ever have AHIUs big enough for all those children. Tokyo Story. A black and white, slow-moving, Japanese movie from 1953. Consistently rated as one of the best movies ever made. But you know critics, so I watched it. It was slow-moving. A bit boring. And then the grandma asks her grandson if he's going to become a doctor like his father. When he's older, the kid is too busy playing to pay attention to his grandma. At which point the grandma says, I wonder if I'll still be alive by the time you become a doctor. Grandma and grandpa seem really happy. But she lets it slip he used to get very drunk and be abusive. He starts drinking again. When they visit their children, the children are too busy taking care of their children to properly care for their parents. So the grandparents are also heartbroken about that. Although they keep smiling, the only one who cares for the grandparents is the widow of their middle son, who died during the war. At one point the grandmother says to the widow of her son, you may be happy while you're still young, but as you become older, you'll find it lonely. To which the woman who's been taking care of the grandparents replies, I won't get that old. So don't worry. Smiling politely all the way through. Even though she's hurting so badly. I spent much of that movie crying. Such a depressingly honest view on what life is often like. Tragic. Honestly. It hit me harder than Grave of the Fireflies or Come and See. Big Hero 6. My older cousin passed away a couple months before and I lost it cause I felt like the younger brother. Steel Magnolias. Damn graveyard scene gives me the ugly cries every time. SLC Punk. Bob. You fucking poser. About Time. Towards the end of the film always hits a little too deep. The Iron Giant. Superman. As his eyes slowly close. Good Will Hunting. Deals with a lot of issues that many people have. And always hits hard. Big Fish. I can't not cry in those final scenes. Dear Zachary. Blue Valentine. For some reason that movie felt very real to me and I straight bawled my eyes out for the last 10 minutes. This would be a rare answer. But that I'm Still Here montage from Treasure Planet really got to me. It was so depressing to see that Jim's father leave him as a kid and never got back and was the main reason why Jim had been suffering from depression. Plus later in the movie, John Silver said something very touching to Jim after the serious journey they've been on. You're gonna rattle the stars. You are. Edit. Treasure Planet is indeed an underrated but amazing Disney film, and I just really wish more people could watch it so they could relate to Jim. Edit. Thanks for all the awards everyone. I really appreciate you all. Hugs to all of you. Wally. My toddler is developing empathy. When Eve was frantically pushing Wall-E's buttons, she turns to me with a quivering lip and says, "What's happening, Mama?" And that made me lose it. Hachiko. A Dog's Tale. I still haven't recovered. Coco. Started crying midway through the movie. Finished the movie and cried for an hour after while FaceTiming my boyfriend. Watership Down. That is not a kid's movie. Straight up. Fox and the Hound. I'm 32. And I just watched it again with my son. It's still heartbreaking. Life is beautiful. What dreams may come. The Lovely Bones. Had just lost my younger sibling to cancer a few months prior, and the parts of the girl in the afterlife had me crying so fucking hard. Bridge to Terabithia. Stand By Me. Grave of the Fireflies. The Pixar short film, Lava. I cry every time. Please tell me I'm not the only one. I felt so bad for that damn lonely volcano. A Silent Voice. The Perks of Being a Wallflower. I went in knowing very little. But I sadly figured out the thing with the ant very early. Short Term 12. A small indie flick that I didn't think I'd be into much, but which ended up being one of the best movies I will ever see. Also features a surprisingly large number of cast members that have since become famous. Brie Larson. Rami Malek. Caitlin Dever. Rosa from B99. Lakeith Stanfield. John Wick. My wife died on September 3rd of that year. My dog had just gotten out of spinal surgery and wasn't walking. And might or might not. I didn't know it yet. But my car that I'd had for 15 years was going to die on me. I may have been the only person in a theater crying about his wife and his dog at a deep, raw level. $1 Million Baby. Damn it, that poor girl worked so fucking hard. Only to have it end like that. Gut punch. The Green Mile. Edit. Holy cannoli. I woke up to hundreds of notifications from this. Thank you so much for the awards. Bridge to Terabithia and My Girl. The movie A.I. literally traumatized me for months, maybe years as a little kid. I still get mad thinking about it to this day. Fuck the people that wrote that movie. Unnecessarily sad. Dicks. Lilo and Stitch. I choke up now hearing the word Ohana. Snoopy Come Home. Snoopy left Charlie Brown to be with his original owner Lila. What a tear-jerker. Your Name. Can't even count how many points I lost it throughout the film. Arrival. I thought the whole story was beautiful, but very sad. I took my wife to see it the next day but wouldn't tell her why it was sad. I remember the moment she figured it out. She was sitting right beside me and I heard her start crying. Milo and Otis. The Land Before Time. When I first saw it as a kid, it was the first time that I realized that my parents could die. That thought had never even really occurred to me at that point. Even now as an adult, that scene where he thinks he sees her but it's just his shadow and the narrator says, "Then Littlefoot knew for certain he was alone," still gets to me. Pursuit of Happiness. The dad did everything for his son and it reminds me of my life. Candy. Heath Ledger is known most for his portrayal of the Joker in The Dark Knight. But I think Candy is not only his most underrated performance, but his best. For those who aren't familiar, if you have a history of substance abuse, specifically opiates, I would advise either steer clear of this movie or watch it with a supportive loved one. If you are exceptionally sensitive in regards to children, specifically infants, and graphic depictions of raw and very real heartbreak, do not watch this movie. Honestly, I always strongly recommend people don't watch this movie. It is fantastic in the sense that it is the most accurate depiction of the descent of a couple into heroin addiction I have ever seen. With heaven knows what closely behind. I'm a recovered heroin addict. I have seen, done, and lived through some shit. I can handle fucked up movies and concepts. Oftentimes actively seek out fucked up movies. I have only watched this movie one time several years ago and I refuse to ever watch it again. The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. Dancer in the Dark. I don't think I'll ever get over Wash. Shawshank Redemption. Brooks. Suicide Killed Me. Requiem for a Dream. Recently I watched Beautiful Boy. That movie fucked me right up. I really related to Steve Carell. As a father of a college student, I had that relationship with my son when he was younger. And with a family history of addiction and a lifetime of holding things in and not dealing with his trauma, I could see my son going down the same path as that kid. At the end I was bawling and I couldn't quite figure out exactly why. Because it wasn't even that good of a movie. Really. Pan's Labyrinth. Dead Poets Society. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Every time I need a good cry about a relationship ending. That's a go-to. Dear Zachary. A letter to a son about his father. The saddest documentary I've ever seen. Interstellar. When he receives those MSGs after all those years. Damn. Fucking Coco when he sings for his grandma at the end. Grown-ass man sobbing next to my wife. Made the mistake of watching Inside Out with my then nearly 1-year-old daughter napping on me. Fucking bing bong. Man. The Fox and the Hound. End of Evangelion. Those kids did not deserve that ending after all they'd been through. Up. Hear me out. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. That scene with him tied to the chair and his dad on the other side of the door made me cry. Logan.